Coming up on Two Bit SoCon, we are talking Chattanooga's big win at ETSU, UNCG holding off VMI surge, and Furman getting back in the win column. All that and more after a word from our sponsor. Two Bit SoCon is brought to you by The Ben Burnett Show. Sports, politics, anything else you're looking for. Weekends on Extra 106.3 in Atlanta or wherever else you get your podcasts. Welcome back, everybody, to Two Bid SoCon here on this Saturday evening. Just got done with a decent slate of games. Taylor slacking on his duties. Jack as well. Decided to go to Kentucky Vandy today instead of locking in on the SoCon. You feel good about that decision?
I would just like to point out that I had a few games on my phone while that was going on.
Okay.
I don't know, the few times I saw Jack in the row behind me, he was not doing the same, so
Were you repping a Kentucky jersey too?
I must say I was.
Oh, valid.
Yeah.
Well, you got what you deserve.
Well, this is not an SEC podcast, so we don't have to talk about that.
I thought you'd want to defend them at least a little bit, but
They're a good team. Okay, well, now you got me. They're a good team, but Vandy's also good. The SEC's just stacked. That's all.
the SEC is stacked. But it's not as competitive as the Southern Conference.
I would agree with that.
There is a number going around that 35% of SoCon games end within 2 possessions or go to overtime. Best league in the
That's
country.
insane.
Best league in the
Yep.
country.
Why do you think I had it on my phone?
So, so today, 2 of those games within 2 possessions, and then Stanford destroyed Wofford. And then Furman Mercer was still a close one, and Chat beat ETSU by 7, but still a really entertaining slate of games today. And we'll start there with Chattanooga ETSU. I'll let you go first before I get into my feelings, but your thoughts on that one.
Your feelings. But at first, ETSU jumped out to an early lead, and I was like, maybe I made the wrong decision. Because, Seymour and Peterson with 22 each, they were doing their thing, but Trey Bonham took over in that second half, getting to the rim, getting his free throws. He had that tough and one. Was it to go up 9? I don't remember. But he had that 1-and-1 where he shot the left-handed layup, and that's when I was like, damn, they're going to win this.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a great game. Honor, Huff only had 1 3, but it was that transition, caught it.
Yeah.
And it was a timely 3, and then
Actually, let me jump in real
Whelan
quick.
had a few buckets, yeah.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Honor Huff, what do you have, 5 points today?
7.
7. That just speaks to what that Chattanooga team has become. Because, he wasn't forcing it. He wasn't trying to get his shots up. Just letting the game come to him. Yeah, he was 2 for 7, but he could have shot, 14, 15 times if he really wanted to. But understanding that, there's other guys that have it going more, or, that's just not what the game plan calls for on this day. It's just really, really cool to see that team, starting to really come together. But keep going on that.
I would say also, I don't know if his assists have gone up, average-wise from this year and last year, but his playmaking seems to have improved. Because, I don't remember a time last year where I'd be like, oh, that was I'm sure there's a few times where there was like, oh, that's a great pass, but there's been multiple times this year where there's one today where he'll drive to the lane, he dished it off to the champion, he had a layup, where, I think his playmaking's improved, too. So while maybe he's not scoring as much, his playmaking's good, and even, he's just one of those guys where, while he's out there, even scoring 7 points, he just feels so much better, just controlling the pace of the game, but man, this was the Trey Bonham second half. Just took over, get into the rim, and had a few, short jumpers and stuff, but that was a great comeback because it was 22-12, and I was like, man, ETSU was going to win this one at home. But also props to Peterson and Seymour. They also hit some shots to stay in it because I was also like, oh, Chattanooga's going to run away with this, but Peterson kept shooting, made a few. Seymour had a clutch one to cut it to single digits with 3 minutes left. But what a win by Chattanooga in the battle of the what do they call it?
The
The
rail
rail yard,
rivalry.
rail, yeah, the
The
rail
rail
rivalry.
rivalry. Yeah. Do you want my game thoughts first or my emotional thoughts first?
Give me emotional, then we'll go game.
ETSU, I feel like we need couples therapy. I feel like I feel like we're in a toxic relationship and it just doesn't feel good, you know? Last year is what it is, you know, I lashed out. I hated on that team a lot, you know, and picked against them in Asheville early, and of course they make a run to the SoCon title game. So over the summer, I worked on myself, right? I decided I
Yeah,
would be less hateful and put them pretty sure second coming into the year. And picked them most of these games, and then we get Chattanooga again. And I'm like, you know what? This is it. ETSU winning this game at home. They have to, right?
you would think.
And they burned me. So now they're lashing out at me, and that doesn't feel good for me, you know. I don't want that. I want us to be on the same page, you know. And so it breaks my heart that happened today when I picked them in a big spot. So I don't know if we need like I had an ETSU guy tweet at me today and was like, "We've come a long way since last year, but Matt St. Charles knows ball."
Oh, I did see that.
And now look at us.
What do
I
you have to
mean,
say to him right now?
I thought I knew ball. I guess not. I guess I just need to take a look in the mirror and see if this relationship is one that I want to stay in.
I don't
And
know if it's worth saving, man.
I feel like we
You'll
need
pick
couples
against the next game
therapy.
and they'll win.
I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't make my heart feel good.
Yeah.
But game thoughts now that I've
I almost
poured
forgot.
now that I've poured my heart out. Um, I thought the first 8 to 10 minutes of that game, when ETSU grabbed what like 12, 11 point lead, whatever
Yeah.
it was, I was like, this is why I picked ETSU. Like Seymour and Boyd were great defensively. They had 6 offensive rebounds in the first 4 minutes of the game. I was like, Chattanooga just doesn't have the size, at least in the starting lineup, to match up with ETSU very well. And then Dan Earl just started lineup tinkering and like subs. And he found 2 or 3 lineups that really, really worked and stuck with them. And that's how
Yeah.
Chattanooga started to run away with this game. And I was talking about it last week on the podcast, but the way they handled that press the ETSU tried to put on throughout most of the game, to be honest with you, is exactly the vision that Dan Earl had when he was recruiting in the portal and things like that. Because you go Trey Bonham, Honor Huff, and then the 3, 6, 7 wings. And that's exactly what he envisioned when he brought those guys in, I'm pretty sure. You can also tell that I bet there were some nights that kept Dan Earl up after that loss in SoCon tournament
Oh, yeah.
because he had inbounds plays out the waz. Like he was just they connected on the home run ball twice.
That was sick.
I don't know how you get burnt. I get how you get burnt once, but the second time I don't know how you just let that go.
Because, yeah, there was the one where Bonham caught it like a receiver and then laid it up. And the announcer, I think, was like, he caught it like a receiver. And
And
that was a
then
great play.
every time off an ETSU made basket that they could run, it was Kiesler running out of bounds, Huff throwing it to him, and then Huff running like a little curl route to get open. And I'm like, I didn't see any of that last year in Asheville.
Yeah.
And these are definitely things that staff as a whole has thought about, and it all just came to fruition today. After they rebounded from that first 10 minutes. And I really thought throughout the second half, for the most part, that Wieland and Bonham especially really started to lock in on the defensive end
Yeah.
because in that first 10 minutes, everything was easy for Peterson and Seymour specifically. And then something changed and it just wasn't. And I think that's a credit to Whelan, Kiesler. Champion was on him too a little bit. And then especially Bonham guarding Peterson. Like that just changed the game. And that's when ETSU's offensive numbers just started to go down. And Chattanooga was mixing in some zone there that really threw ETSU off. Which is what annoyed me about the Citadel last weekend when they played VMI. When you're just not getting 2 feet in the paint and the ball's just swinging around the perimeter. That's not how you beat a zone. I don't know how multiple possessions in a row we're just settling for deep threes. So, lot of improvement from Chattanooga on that front on both sides of the ball, and that's what led to the win for them today. So,
agreed.
Very impressive. But yeah, I did not see that happening as it did, because really the last 30 minutes of that game, Chattanooga just dominated.
I thought they win, but after that beginning, I was like, oh, I was wrong. Then I was like, oh, I was right.
Because Dan Earl played 11 guys today. That's buckyball numbers.
Yep.
So just, like, tried Mulholland out there in the beginning. Didn't work the way he thought it would. All right, let's get Cusano out there. Cusano gave some really, really good minutes today, especially
he had a tough layup at one point.
Cutting off the ball, finishing. He's
Yeah.
crafty finishing at the rim.
Yeah. And that was off a cut, to your point.
Yeah. Mekhi Richards, I thought, gave some good minutes, but I really thought Cusano was the guy alongside Champion. And then Latif Doof gave some good minutes too.
He did.
But credit to Dan Earl and that staff for just working, being patient through that first half, finding lineups that worked for them, and just sticking with them.
Yeah.
And that's what led to them winning that game. Elsewhere around the league today, Furman gets it done at Mercer. You had Mercer in this one, as did Jay.
I did have Mercer.
Your thoughts on that one?
I really thought Mercer would have it, but at the same time, like, as I tweeted, I made my picks, but I took so long with these picks because I knew anything could happen. But this was a great game all around, and Mercer had 2 great looks at the end when I think Anderson missed the free throws. And who shot the 3? It was Robinson and it was Shoulders, I'm pretty sure. And like I was going crazy, like but Mercer is a very underrated team, and Johnson and Robinson, man, those two was 16-24 today. After what they've done, they're an underrated duo in the SoCon. But it was a nice bounce back road win for Furman, and PJ Smith's been making shots, Anderson's been making shots, and Bronson is it Bronson? Was 16 off the bench? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was a good game for Furman, and the way to just kind of hold on. But let me just give a quick shout out to ESPN Plus. We've kind of talked about them screwing up all season, and they did it again. Did I turn that on? What did it say? Furman 11-9, 1-3 in SoCon play, and it said Mercer. What was it? 9-11, 1-3.
Hold on. Let's not get on them for that. The women played right before.
I don't care.
And
you're ESPN.
Fair. But
I'm sure it was something like that, but it was ESPN.
They did fix it eventually.
They fixed Mercer first, though, and then it was still Furman 11-9 and 1-3.
Well, yeah, because even I saw that and was like, "They're what?"
I know. I was like, I messed up. But anyways, listen. If that was, here's my thing. I don't want to go all into a thing about ESPN Plus, but if that was their only mistake all year, I would have been like, whatever. But I feel like every day it's something with them, you know.
Well, yeah, you got to keep in mind that each of those broadcasts is being run by the school, like the athletic department.
You should know your records. Know your records. It's not hard. I'm calling all y'all out. It's not hard. Look up your schedule. It's really not hard. Don't embarrass yourselves.
These poor folks in athletic.
I mean, it's embarrassing every time this year. We try to say we're a good conference, and then people click on games. Well, that's weird. The announcer doesn't even know this guy's name or whatever. Sorry, I'm getting a whole tangent, but
I'm gonna counteract Taylor's take here that some of them do it very, very well, and some of them do not. And I think it's seen the most with ETSU's play-by-play guy because he's awesome.
he is a
I
good
don't.
one.
I
I'm
didn't
sorry, you're
catch
right. It's
his
not all
name.
of them.
I
It's not
didn't
all of
catch
them.
his name at the beginning of the broadcast. He's awesome. He does a great, great job. Um, but I respect athletic departments, and Taylor does not. So
I do. I respect the announcers, but when you're messing up records and stuff, like how do you not? All it takes is a simple Google search. So are we really 11-9? No, that's the women's team. Well, let me go fix that. It's not hard. It takes 10 seconds. It's ridiculous.
back
I
to
know
the
that they work
actual
hard, but okay, sorry. I
back
could
to
talk
the
about that
actual
for the whole
game.
episode.
Every time Robinson and Johnson have games like that, I go back to a text that Ryan Ritter sent me over the summer where he just said, he and I were talking back and forth, and he said, Chip Johnson and Ahmad Robinson are the real deal. And I should have known from that point that they would be the real deal. And they've both been phenomenal. Ahmad Robinson's playing his way into a first-team all-conference spot at this point. Just really carrying that team offensively. Because outside of those two, they don't have a consistent, ball-dominant offensive threat. But when you can play those guys 34 and 36 minutes and get the results that you've been getting, you don't really need another offensive threat. So, I thought, Furman was giving up plenty of straight line drives, just straight to the basket for most of the first half, which is interesting because apparently Richie has been getting on to everybody about the defensive effort, and that was supposed to be their focal point coming into this game. They gave up 74 points, which is average, but I thought Bronson was really, really good going back to the bench. I don't know what went into that, because just a couple weeks ago we were talking about how they needed more offensive punch and that was the reason he was in the starting lineup. I guess he's undoing that and wanting more defense again, so he went back to Vanderwall. I thought PJ Smith had a really, really good game. Kind of like I talked about Honor Huff, just not pressing, not forcing it. Because when your team is struggling like that offensively, sometimes it's easy to be like, I need to do this. Like, they're leaning on me. And, shoot 19, 20 times, whatever it is. But he was just picking and choosing his spots. Especially off of ball screens, just being patient, getting to the rim when he could, drawing fouls. And then when they started going under on him, he would just pop the three. 2 of 6 today, but that's all right.
That's not terrible.
I thought Mercer had a hard time giving up defending dribble handoffs at a certain point, especially late in the second half, to where they're giving up something every time. Like, Furman was constantly forcing help one way or another, whether it was Bowser or Heen, whoever it was, would slip to the basket, or PJ Smith would get the open three, or Robinson would get it. It just felt like they didn't adjust well to that, and that's kind of what separated Furman. But, despite all that, they had a shot. They had two good shots, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They had two good shots.
Two good looks.
To extend that game. It would have tied it, right?
I would have tied. Because Anderson missed the free. Yep.
Mm-hmm. But, I picked Furman in this one just off of vibes, to be honest with you. Everything would tell you to pick Mercer in this one, just because they're coming off the big win against UNCG and Furman just lost the VMI, but I had to think that Bob Ritchie would make a change somehow.
No. This is one that took a while, and
none of these games were easy to pick this weekend.
No.
And that's another thing I want to talk about. I
had an easy one.
if I had to put these teams into five pods based on talent, record, how they're playing right now, kind of power rankings,
Yeah.
this might be how I would do it this slate today. Because you go Chattanooga, ETSU, both title contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Samford, Wofford, both title contenders.
Yep.
Western Carolina, Citadel, not our finest. Yeah.
The crappers. No
Furman,
offense.
Mercer. Furman, Mercer, you never really know what you're gonna get with either of these
Yeah.
teams. But both talented, both
What about
capable.
Greensboro VMI? Where do you put them in the?
That would be the only one I may change.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I think UNCG is just super, super. I think these are two very super well coached teams that have played better than their talent might indicate. You
I would
know?
agree because
Because.
UNCG. Yeah, I was just like, what are they 6-2 so far? But
Mhm.
and they're obviously a good team for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because we picked them so low or if no one thought it'd be so good. I find myself picking against them. I think I picked them to win today, but like I have the weird feeling that at some point they'll start to implode, even if it's not true. I
Mhm.
just cannot see myself picking them to win at all. And if they do, y'all come for my head. I don't care. But yeah, it's just like a weird like, wow, they're really good. You know,
Yeah.
like that might not make any sense, but it's like those teams that are like you can't pick them even though they're good.
Mhm.
Which props to them. They have skyrocketed expectations. I think we both picked them seventh, if I remember correctly. Jack had him sixth.
We did.
So
Um, with all due respect, they feel like those like Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell Jazz teams that you were like,
yeah,
they're
that's a
not that
perfect
good,
inspection. Yeah,
and then they're winning like 50, 60 games, whatever it is.
but then they lose early,
Yeah,
relatively.
I'm like, I don't know, like go like spot for spot on a roster with Chat, ETSU, Wofford, Samford, like they don't stack up that well, but Mike Jones has a game plan every night. They execute it super
Yeah,
well. They've got a closer in Kenyon Giles or Ronald Polite. Like they just always stay within striking distance,
yeah,
and I think that's why they're 6-2. But
yeah.
like talent
They
wise,
do feel like
I
the
don't.
Jazz to me.
Yeah. So we can actually go to that game now. VMI, UNCG. Did you catch any of that one?
I
Really?
caught like near the end of it. I mean, only thing that stood out to me was Qdrillus is legit a. I know they lost, but man, I called it from day one when he dropped 27 and whoever the heck they played in game one that he is a
He's a
all
stud.
conference type player.
He's a stud,
He's
man.
a nice mismatch. He's a good forward, and I've been impressed with the way they played. Bradley didn't have his best game. He shot 2 of 15, and they lost by three. So honestly, and Guy else had 14, Atwell had 12, Brett had 10. It's just, I mean, 60 of 57 is just kind of like a. I didn't get to watch all of it. I only caught the
Hmm.
last few minutes, but I had UNCG winning. But VMI really has just showed they're a level above those last few teams, like they usually are. But
Yeah.
UNCG eked it out after. I think they were down at halftime, or maybe they were down at some point.
They, I think they were down as much as
Yeah.
12
Okay, I
ish,
thought so, and
something
I was
like
like,
that.
wow.
Um,
But today was a game where they were like UNCG showed they were like we got closers on our team,
yeah.
even if
Hmm.
it's yeah.
So
Because if you have Giles
this,
and Atwell, yeah,
so this might be my new pet peeve in basketball when somebody plays zone against you and the ball doesn't touch the middle. Like it's
yeah,
every game where someone plays a zone, I notice it now, and it makes me cringe. Um, I didn't think UNCG did a great job of that for most of the game, and I thought it kind of took Giles out of his rhythm from outside. Um, and then eventually they stuck Demetrius Davis in there. And he was pretty good about catching the ball in the middle, facing the rim, and making a play some way.
hmm.
And I think that's kind of what got their rhythm back going. And then Giles hits, I think he hit three threes in a row somewhere in there
Yep.
to bring them within one. Um, but yeah, Keudlis, he's just, there's, he's kind of like Jokic-ish. Like
Literally.
he's just so like I'm not saying that just because he's foreign, but
I
like
think
just just the way he plays the game, you're like, all right, put somebody small on him, he's gonna back you down. Put somebody big on him, he's gonna face you up and get to the
yeah.
rim. Send a double at him,
He's gonna make a smart play.
he's throwing a one-handed
Yeah.
skip across like.
Yep.
My thing with VMI, there was some bad shot selection there at the end of the game. They had a possession. I can't remember if they were down 2 or 3, what it was, where they just threw up 2 bad 3s where they didn't even get an offense going or have a set. It was just Bradley stepping back to his left, took a bad 3, and then somebody else took a 3 in the corner. But all of that, they like Jalen Breath left the door open at the free throw line,
Hmm.
and then there was another. No, I think they made the free throw. VMI was taking it out under the basket, threw a full court pass to Kiudlis, who like toe tapped on the opposite baseline and tipped the ball to Ricky Bradley, who got a shot off in the corner to tie the game.
Yeah.
And oh my, if they had made that, that place would have been crazy. Which, watch that broadcast, I couldn't help but feel how scary it actually might be to play there when it's like packed
Oh,
out.
when they won a few, they probably got
Because
a
it was
good crowd
literally
there.
the whole core was like one whole sideline and one whole baseline of just students in like full army gear.
Yeah, and they're
Like, I'm like that would be
I love
terrifying.
watching that. Yeah.
Dude, and they're swag surfing, they're doing the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I saw a video of the swag surf. It's hilarious.
dude, I'd piss my pants. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm not making those free throws either.
No. But
But
I would say about like their bad shot selection, it just feels like a trend for teams that are on the up and up when they don't. I hate to say it, they're not used to being in those situations, so their best players try to go in and make a play. You see it with
mhm.
Vandy, you see it with all these other teams who are kind of on
Yep.
the rise. So just
And
unfortunately what they do. But at the end of the day, they won 3-0 before that, so they're on the
so
rise.
so it's interesting because like they're playing with a lot of swagger right now.
Yeah,
Like because they're playing very very well, but you have to balance that, right? You can't get too
yeah,
high, you can't get too low.
yeah, yeah.
You're playing very very good basketball, but when we're in a tight game with the second seed in the league, we have to slow down.
Hmm.
And you may want to hit the shot that gets the whole core going crazy, but we need a good shot to make
Yeah,
that happen.
absolutely.
So it's a young team learning, growing. Um, I will have to say if VMI ends up in the top 6 and doesn't play on or on Friday in Asheville, Andrew Wilson's coach of the year. I
I
don't
agree.
I
I
don't think
agree.
it's a question.
No other like yeah, no way. Except for me. I mean, yeah,
He
might give it to Jones
Mike
just because.
Jones has
Yeah,
a shot too. Um, but I have to think that any coach that takes over VMI and gets them like
makes him even relevant. Yeah.
out of the dungeon of the league, like
Why do you think I picked him to be my president? And back in November, whenever that was.
oh, that was a good pick.
Yeah,
Oh, look
right.
at it. Oh no, that's a really good pick.
I saw it from back then.
Yeah, wow. Um, Going back a little further today, Western Carolina grabs one in Charleston. I I can't believe I put U.S. currency on the Citadel.
Can I just
What am I
say,
doing?
I'm so sorry, but it is so poetic that you tweeted about Citadel's free throw shooting, and to probably
Yeah,
Brody Fox's you were Brody Fox's biggest defender, and he goes to the line and has a chance to win it and misses one of them is the most poetic thing. And then they go on to lose. That was just like a big FU. It was like my biggest fan, Matt St. Charles. We're gonna get rid of him by missing this free throw.
damn it. Yeah,
Also,
so hold up. The
oh yeah, go
Citadel
for it.
tie game. The line is 1.5. I have the Citadel to win by more than 1.5. Brody Fox at the line. under 10 seconds to go, misses the front end, hits the second. Man, that is poetic justice. You're
It
right.
really is. I thought you were the first person I thought of. 'Cause you were talking about their free throw shooting in the tweets, and they didn't do you any favors.
Man, I didn't even see it that way.
Yeah,
Thanks for pointing that out.
yeah. He probably saw it and was like, "I'm gonna make you not be a fan of me, Brick."
Yeah, he knew. Um, I I think this game was just an indictment that Western Carolina had more talent than the
Yeah,
Citadel. In all
that's why I
honesty,
picked him.
um, not Cord Stanberry's best game statistically, but he was attacking the basket, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. Bernard Pelote was
Mm.
phenomenal, dude. He could be in that like Keutelis conversation where he's just a matchup nightmare for any team. And I think they've honestly started to play better recently. And I would venture to guess that Pelote's usage rate is up in their last few. Obviously, they didn't hang in there with ETSU, but like they've just turned to him as their offensive output, and it's paid some dividends, I would guess. But he's just great, man.
Yeah.
He's really really solid. Um, if I find out that what you said about Brody Fox is true and that he missed that just to spite me, Team Matt, my fantasy team, will be waiving Brody and picking up Bernard Pelote
We talked
because
before the game.
it is. Now that I look back, it's kind of a crime that none of us picked Pelote.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that he slipped through the cracks.
It was mainly because of the team. That's why I didn't. Wasn't really anything to do with him.
But man,
But I'm sorry, Pelote.
the Citadel had its chances in this one, and they all just passed by. Grabbed a 5-point lead in overtime at one point. Still managed to lose. And Paxton Davidson had a great look at a floater at the very, very end. And he had hit 2 floaters before that in overtime to get them that 5-point lead. And then that ball just rattled in and out. And you got to think that was the Citadel's best chance to grab a conference win, in all honesty. I don't see going forward a better one. They can't go 0-18. They can't.
Let me tell you,
They're going to catch somebody.
no. These boys, I want to see them win. When they got close to Boston College, I was like, maybe they're going to be a fighting team. Hate it for Brody Fox. Hate it for Glover. They got some good pieces. They've had chances in these games. They're so unclutch. They can't hit free throws. They forced overtime, which I didn't even think they do, and then they let Pelote hit a 3 and then a jumper and then get a foul and get the free throw. I mean, you have your best player going to the line, and he misses one of them. You're not winning a game. Who are they going to beat, Matt? Who? I ask you, who? To your credit, Western Carolina has gotten a little better. Pelote looked like a true, number 1 guy today. They might pick up a few more wins, but I'm telling you, I don't know who they're going to beat. I really don't. I'm picking against them the rest of the season. They're going 5-24, or however many games they play.
I'm not picking them the rest of the year either, to be quite honest with you. But I said this about VMI last year. Jack said they would go 0-18 and they wouldn't win a D1 game. You're going to catch somebody on a night. You have to.
That VMI team won a 1-point game against the Citadel last year. They got 1. You're acting like they went in and won 4 or 5 games. No, they got 1 game.
They got it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, now that VMI is kind of good, who is Citadel going to get?
Western Carolina.
Nah.
That was their best chance, though.
I don't see it. I'm willing to bet anyone. Never mind. I don't want to bet my money.
Moving
I was about to go crazy for a second. Sorry, guys.
Don't want to hate on the Citadel too much. Last game of the night, Samford easily takes care of Wofford. Final score was 77-61, but Sanford was up at least 23, 25 points at other
Yeah.
points in that game. Definitely not Wofford's best outing. That's just a tough matchup for them when you think of how these teams play, um, especially with how good Jaden Brownell has been lately.
Yeah, he's
Um,
been great.
when you put Kyler Filowich on him and draw him away from the basket, it just opens up everything for Sanford offensively. If he doesn't come out enough, Brownell's 6 of 8 from the field and 4 of 5 from 3 for 18 points. When he does come out, somebody's cutting, somebody's driving, the whole lane is wide open. So, I mean, when you allow Sanford to dictate the pace like that, this is going to be the result. But if in the next meeting Wofford can dictate the pace, it'll be a little different, I would think.
I would agree.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
not
was just saying
much.
today. Today's just seemed like an old fashioned like Stanford was at home, avenging a home loss. They shot the ball better than Wofford did. They shot 52% from the field, 50% from three. Wofford was 44% and 30% from three. Stanford made all the right plays when needed. And I think the play that summed up Bucky ball in general was there was a play near the end where Rylan Jones stole the ball and then took a dribble and just tried to pull up three and swished it. And I was like, yep, Wofford's toast.
Yeah,
I mean, that was near the end, but still. It was a dominant win from Stanford after losing to at home last week. I just cannot
yeah.
see them losing two home wins in a row.
You had to think they were going to get their get back,
Yeah,
which they did.
they did.
Um, we'll go backwards a little bit um, to a really, really good game. Sanford come from behind win over Chattanooga 73-69. You were at this one.
What was that? This one?
What did you think?
Oh, that was just a great game. Great atmosphere, great game. The first half, I was so impressed with Chattanooga. They were up 42-31 at half. I figured that Sanford would come back, but man, it was just a classic tale of two halves. Stanford came in, dropped 42, only made five threes. They did not make that many threes, but Brownell had 20 points. Like Holloway had 10 points, 10, 5, and 5 off the bench. So that was a good stat line. But man, and what happened? They were up two. Champion stole the ball, and then Huff had that
Huff
shot
hit the
fake in
layup.
three.
Yeah.
That place would have exploded. But
Which, that's Huff's favorite shot. He shoots that
yeah,
at least 3 times a game. Like the
yeah,
pump fake dribble. I'm living with that if I'm Darnell.
yeah,
Like I'll bank on him making that. But
yeah. Whelan had 18. He had a great game, but no one like in particular stood out to me for Sanford. It just literally felt like a team where coaching, they went in the locker room and was like, y'all are playing terrible. Let's come out in the second half. Let's press. Let's make our shots. Let's force turnovers. Exactly what they did. Give them credit. And they made free throws when it mattered. They made timely shots. They defended. And yeah, it was a Sanford bounced back from the ETSU loss, and they were like, yeah, we're still number one in the SoCon.
yeah,
Basically, is from what I saw watching the crowd that game.
I mean Brownell is one of those absolute mismatches too. It's
Hmm.
just what is he 6'10", whatever.
Yeah,
Um, in that one he goes 1 of 2 from three, but he scores 20 points. Um, and then Ole Inca is 2 for 3. Allenspach is 4 for 6. That's just a product of having
yeah,
the size that Sanford has, where Chattanooga's play style is a little small ball ish. They just kind of Sanford kind of exploited that weakness in the second half, especially through Brownell. But um, I don't walk away from that game thinking that Chattanooga is not one of the best teams in this league and having a shot to win the whole thing, because that was just a great game. Two very,
yeah,
very good teams going back and forth. Um, my other takeaway is that Bash Wheeland has like Sean Livingston levels of accuracy from mid range. Like
Bro, his fadeaway mid range,
that turnaround
unbeatable.
doesn't miss.
Yeah.
It
Or
doesn't
yeah, turnaround.
over his left shoulder. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him miss it yet. He
Yeah.
goes 6 of 8 from the field and 0 of 2 from three. So if you're doing the math at home, 6 of 6 from inside the arc.
Yeah.
Like he's
It's
just been
impressive.
so good for them. But yeah, just an impressive game. Stanford down as much as 16 or late in the first half. And yeah, something was said in that locker room because from the jump of the second half, they were just
Yeah.
back to
You just
bucket
don't come
ball.
out and do that. They definitely
Yeah.
were like,
I think they were down 12 maybe at half, I want to
yeah,
say.
it was 42-31, I remember.
And it was like a 7-0 or 9-0 run like that. And they were
Yeah.
back in it. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah, just a super impressive one.
A peak
Elsewhere,
game.
yeah, very good game. National TV for the league, and a packed McKenzie Arena is what you want to
Hmm.
see. Other notable results last week: VMI grabbed a huge win over Furman at home, and I think that's where Furman kind of had to wake up a little bit, and I think that's kind of what sparked their win today.
Yeah.
Just a tough one to lose in Lexington. And then Mercer, a huge comeback over
Oh
UNC
my gosh.
Greensboro on the road. This is one of those ones that got me to tweet and then
I tweeted on this one too.
eat my words later in the game. When Mercer was down 18 or whatever it was, I tweeted the Green Goblin meme because I keep betting on Mercer, and then it paid out.
And then, yeah, because they were down. Man, I got to give all my props to Ahmad Robinson because I did not see anyone, including myself, talking about him all. And he dropped 33 of the game on efficient shooting. Man, he has been balling it out. Him and Chip Johnson. They're a duo I did not think would be dangerous in this conference, and they are. And I apologize if you guys are somehow watching this for doubting you.
That's a game that if you watch and you're not entertained, you just don't love
Yeah.
basketball. Because watching basically two guards under 5'10" just duel it out, you're like,
That's peak right there.
This is basketball. I love this. Big shout out to Marcus Overstreet in this one. He was huge in the second half. Only played 11 minutes, but he goes 5 of 6 from the field for 13 points and 5 rebounds. And a little bit to the culture that Ryan Ritter has built in one season. They closed fully with Marcus Overstreet and Alex Holt on the bench. And anytime they cut to the bench, Alex Holt was on his feet clapping, like excited. A lot of guys would be really pissed off in that situation. But understanding the other guy's got the hot hand, he's helping us win this game. Just accepting it, supporting your teammate is really awesome to see. So shout out to Ritter and
That's teams you want to see win because that's when you know it's a good staff and a good culture.
Exactly, 100%. So that is the recap of the SoCon this week. Going forward, Wednesday we have Chattanooga at Western Carolina, Samford at Furman, VMI at Wofford, the Citadel at Mercer, and pretty good slate of games on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we will have all that coverage next Saturday. And then a pretty cool announcement on February 8th. We are taking Two-Bid SoCon on the road to Furman at Chattanooga, live after the game. So that will be a fun one. We may have some players from the winning team. We'll see. But look out for that episode here in a couple of weeks.
We are indeed taking our talents down to Chattanooga.
We are very excited for that one.
Sorry, popped in my head. Thought it was funny.
But yeah, that is all we have this week on Two-Bid SoCon. We appreciate everybody for listening. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, anywhere you want to listen. Yell at us on Twitter still, whatever it is. We need to get some dialogue going.
Hmm.
But appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.